All right, ladies and gents, welcome. We've got game one in a best of five here in the third round in Hidden Cup 5 qualifiers, and this is a big one, as all the third round sets should be. But we've got Barles. Barles, a player who is in Hidden Cup 4, went through the qualifier by beating Hart 4-3, and a player who has just, I think, been gaining more and more respect from people over the last year or two as to how good he is. The thing about Barles that is always clear to me when he's playing a tourney is how much time he puts in to prepare the settings. And having not covered Barles at all yet, because the first two rounds didn't seem like on paper they would be that close, I'm actually excited to cover him here and see how good he's been looking. As far as I know, he hasn't lost a game yet, so things are looking really solid for him thus far. He's gone for the Georgians. Barles, I think, is the favorite here, but we've got Daniel on the other side. And Daniel is from the good old USA, so I know him quite well. And talked a bit with Daniel, and he was like, basically like, honestly, it just really comes down to who has the best day, right? Like, he didn't come off. He told me that he felt as though Barles is the slight favorite here. But he said sometimes, you know, when you come to play in a tourney, you're not able to bring your best, or maybe you're able to even somehow get above your best. So we'll see what it looks like here. He's gone for the Malians. Interesting thing about Daniel. So Daniel, also in that Hidden Cup 4 qualifier, so granted this was 3 years ago, he lost 4-3 to ACCM. He was one win away from making it into the main event himself. And actually, Daniel's loss in that qualifier, and then Hart's loss in the qualifier against Barles 4-3, those were the two things that stuck with me. I think there was another 4-3 as well. I think Land got 4-3 by Veleza or something. But honestly, they stuck with me and eventually led to things like Titans League, where I was like, man, there's some really good players. They're getting so close. They don't have opportunity. They don't have, as much money. And then led to my thinking of putting $10,000 into this qualifier. I always felt bad because it was $3,000 in the qualifier for that event, which was very rare. There were many events, most events didn't have anything in qualifiers, but I just always remember, like, it was like Daniel was essentially one win away from, earning himself thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars because of the big discrepancy between the qualifier amount and the main event amount. So, tried to change that this time. And so whoever loses this, I think it's like $400, right? Which is, I think, amazing. To still be one round away from the main event. But whoever wins here might be favorite. I do actually forget at the moment what we're looking at as far as the other side of their bracket. It's not the Sito Classic Pro bracket. It's not Hart Vivi. It's not Fire Tato. It's going to come to me, but I really do feel like whoever's going to win in this series is a player that might be in Hidden Cup 5. When it's all said and done. We'll see. Oh, it's Stark. Okay, so they'll be up against Stark, potentially, after Stark has had this crazy run and beat Dogal. See, honestly, of course, remembered what Stark was able to accomplish yesterday. I didn't forget that, but, like, in my mind, this whole time, I was never envisioning Stark in that position. So that might have been part of it for me. Okay. That's crazy, guys. Yesterday was probably the biggest day for upsets in AoE 2 history, in my opinion. We had all four sets, the favorites ended up losing, and we had like 2 or 3 of the players winning, being like big surprises. Like, I think Stark was a big surprise to everybody. We had Baba Ram. Like, Baba Ram beat Nikov 2 days prior. Him beating Kingston wasn't necessarily that crazy but I think people also underestimate him. Then Ganji beating Veleza. Just crazy, crazy stuff. All right, so Daniel's going to go Fast Castle here. Fast Castle away. He pushed in all of his Zebra. He got his walls down. This is what we've seen a lot of on Gold Rush. And I wonder what Daniel does with his scout when he sees Feudal Ages in for Barles here. We've also seen a lot of scout rushes, but like more often than not, the scouts are not really doing anything. But, like, you really don't want to show yourself in your opponent's base if your opponent is in Feudal. Because their scout can find you and come kill you. Daniel will see, though, that this scout for Barles is here. And you see how he's running away now. Yeah. Yeah, so this is just because he's Dark Age. This is really smart. He doesn't want that scout to run over here and try and snipe him. So we will see. Again, back to my point, I really think this is more and more. It feels like this is just a fast castle map. I think with some civilizations that have really good economies, the fast feudal is really nice. The Georgians don't necessarily benefit from the fast feudal in any way. Daniel trying to keep his scouts safe. And we could still see scouts from Daniel here, but Daniel will probably drop a barracks at a stable and head up towards Castle Age that way. T90, do you think that people are going the extra mile for Hidden Cup, like training a lot more? For the qualifier, it's been my impression so far. For the main event, usually we give them a 10-day period once the new maps are revealed. And usually it's like very, very quiet on the outside, which basically means that, yes, players are really putting in the time to test the new maps and get it right. But I don't know for the main event yet, obviously. I don't think it would make a lot of sense for the main event players to train too much because the settings for the main event can be slightly different, and we've been very clear on that. But for the qualifier, like, I mean, I have talks with so many players, right, that are in this on like a daily basis at times. And in some cases, I've even discussed drafts and looked at recs. And like one player might be in communication with me, and they show me recorded games from practice, but it includes other players, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't know they were training. So yeah, there's been a lot, and I think there's tiers of it, right? And I think like Barles, like, he's not at a level where he's just hoping to get through. He's at a level where it's like, in his mind, it's expected he gets through. Like, he really has that much belief in him. So, like, Barles is going to be training with other players who could potentially get through. And if you think of the Amigos, which is what a lot of the, Barles has... I don't know if they're still technically a team, but if you know the Amigos, you kind of know what I'm talking about. You would have a player like Barles, who's still in the qualifier. Ganji, who beat Veleza. It's very clear he's been training. Like, those three are in separate groups. And wouldn't surprise me if those three have really been practicing and training a lot. Which, is, of course, is very different. Like, those names are all very different, I think, than, like, someone training with someone who's potentially going to go out in round 2. So that's pretty cool to have, like, 3 players of similar category. As the scout from Daniel gets trapped in here. He can't actually take the hill. This is interesting. It's a Georgian scout, though, from Barles. So he does have that regen. And, yeah, Barles is going to end up... Yeah, he's just going to be patient here, bring this other scout in here, and go for the kill. Daniel is up, and Daniel will be able to add the second TC a whole lot faster here. Looks like he's also going to be adding scouts. Now, these farms are not going to reseed for a long time here for the Georgian player. So this build isn't bad, but it does delay your castle age. So, as the full wall, wow, look at this. The full wall happens here for Barles. Pretty passive start to the series, as we all expected here on Gold Rush. We will have more aggressive maps for them, and even potentially more defensive map in Quarry. I say potentially because I'm not really sure how that's going to be played yet. But yeah, this is how Gold Rush tends to play out. And then eventually the big fight for the middle. We've seen a lot of light cav, a lot of monks. And then usually it goes into something like pikemen, gunpowder, castle drops. With the Georgians, of course, they might want to go for their unique unit. Yeah, so if you're curious about the villagers situation, it pretty much just comes down to when they've aged up, right? It's like right now, Barles has more villagers, but now he's aging up. Daniel's adding TCs, and he's producing again, so Daniel should slightly overtake him. Where Daniel will struggle here, and this is basically the difference between the feudal age build and the fast castle build, is Daniel doesn't have as many farms, right? So he'll get his TCs down, but he has to get his farms down right away. Whereas Barles is going to have tons of wood. When he makes it to the next stage, he's going to be able to make the TCs pretty much immediately. Having said that, Barles is on stone right now. So he really wants to prioritize an early castle. We might actually see maybe like a second town center because you don't want to fall too far behind in economy, and then an early castle here. Kind of towards the middle here. So he wants to play through the Manaspa. The Manaspa are going to be nerfed at some point. It's just... No, I'm not in charge, right? But like... And I know it's crazy that they even introduced the unit with all the stats and all the details of it as they have already. So maybe I shouldn't have faith in them. But I am fairly certain, I will say with 99% certainty, that the Manaspa will be nerfed at some point in time. The unit is just so good. But Georgians have lacked some other things from what I've seen, you know? So it's pretty much just the Manaspa that has been surprising or you know, dominating. That's the main reason that this civilization is being picked right now. And if that's going to be the case, is I love this CC spot from Barles. You know, maybe that's why he's on stone already. You do produce them insanely fast. I see the resubs coming in, guys. Welcome. Loom now for Daniel. And, okay, so yeah, Barles basically goes to stone. He starts mining it ahead of time, but he goes for the town centers first because he knows he'll be behind in the eco anyways. Smart thinking. And Daniel is 2 on stone right now, which makes me think that he wants to build a TC out here as well. And I've got so many things coming back to my mind. I actually think, can someone check? I think it was Barles against Hart on Gold Rush 3 years ago, Game 7, in the decider to qualify for Hidden Cup. I think it was Byzantines against Berbers. Please check that. And then I also think Daniel played a game on Gold Rush where he was Tatars. It was like Tatars Byzantines or Tatars Berbers. I would love for... I think I'm pretty close on this. So I'm actually really curious if someone could tell me. I like the camo edition there from Daniel to help with the scouts. And then he's now adding the monastery as well. Just sick economies here. It's pretty close. We knew Daniel would have the villager lead. Look at how many farms he has, and he actually goes for the TC in his base. I think he's just a little concerned right now about moving out to the middle because of the amount of pressure Barles has out there. Hart as Berbers lost against Barles as Tatars on Gold Rush. Okay. Man, it was 4 years ago. It still hurts. Stop bringing it up. Hart, I didn't know you were here. Okay, what about Daniel's set against ACCM? Can you please tell me what game it was? There was definitely a crazy Gold Rush game. It's funny how all the civs we're mentioning are not being played on Gold Rush right now. Isn't that fascinating? I haven't seen Byzantines yet. I haven't seen Berbers yet. Castle. Oh, man. Barles wants to build a castle in the middle. If Daniel could deny this, this could be something. He doesn't really have the biggest army, though. He'll see the Vills. So he should know that this means something. And it's Daniel, right? So he's going to immediately be on alert with the rest of his army. And Barles has to be careful here. I mean, unfortunately for Daniel, it is just one camel. But even if you lose 4 or 5 villagers and still get this castle up, it's still going to be kind of nasty. Feels like maybe he's got just enough with the monks around. And yeah, I mean, that's what you want, right? You don't want to have to invest too much here to get this castle up. I'd say that was maybe the perfect amount of investment there. And Daniel still has not grabbed a relics. Same thing for Barles. Barles going to grab relic number 1. And now, the Manaspa are going to start creating. Now, people are wondering why I'm calling it overpowered, maybe. The unit produces insanely fast. The unit has high armor. The unit has high attack. And you get more attack on it when you just make more of the unit. So it produces quickly. It's relatively cheap. It has high armor. It has high attack. And yeah, I mean, basically everything about it is slightly overtuned. Now, I've seen it, you know, struggle against heavy camel play and against heavy halb play, right? So, but also I've seen it shred those units at the same time if you can get enough of them. And I think the timing for Barles should be really good here. We'll see. I always compare it to the Lithuanians, right? The Lithuanians get +1 attack on their cav per relic collected. There's 5 relics on the map. You're usually not going to be able to get them all. It's hard work to get those relics. With the Manaspa, you get extra attack if you just make more units. which is much easier than having to snag relics, which the opponents are going to be contesting for. They are lower HP, though, so they're kind of glass cannon-y, as you could say. And, well, that is not a good example of the Manaspa being OP. That is a good example of Daniel not paying attention. Those 3 light cav go down. Daniel has collected about 1,000 more resources here. And he really wants a castle towards the middle. And here he is. He'll want to keep these monks alive. He will keep most of his monks alive. Or one of his monks alive. And even converts the light cav. Not bad for Daniel. He made enough army. He's worried about the Manaspa. And now he can come to the middle to drop a castle. Well, actually, guys, Barles canceled a bunch of vills here. And he's immediately going to go up to Imp. Really interesting. He sees the castle because he made outposts here. So, it's interesting. Barles hasn't really made many Manaspa. Will he make them now just because it's so quick to produce them? Or will he go into something else? I think you have to make them. Because I kind of like the idea on paper of making Manaspa, then your opponent goes heavy into Camel because they're scared of the Manaspa, and then you go into Halp. I kind of like that. However, this is Malians we're talking about, and this castle can produce something that's pretty good against the Halps. So, I mean, maybe you can do both, right? If you can continue to produce Manaspa, and then also, you know, Halbs, that wouldn't be too bad. So we'll see. How many units do you need to equal a relic for Lithuanians? You mean the extra attack? 6. It is 6 units in the group. When you get to the 6th, it adds +1 attack, I believe. Or it might be 7. Yeah, Camels still should be in a really good position to fight against these Manaspa. And if Barles wants to make Trebs, he's not going to be able to make the Manaspa. On the sides, we still have some fights. It is funny to me how much focus there is on relics here. I get that having monks when there's cav out in the field is really good. But, like, this is a map where there's tons of gold in the middle. I suppose there's no guarantee they're necessarily going to be able to take it, though. So this, right now, you're not going to see any extra attack on the Manaspa because the unit count isn't large enough. And Daniel, maybe forgetting there's monks out there, getting a little too close, and he's going to lose a camel. That could have been much worse for him, though. His light cap are immediately on the way. And again, here, Barles goes for conversions. Daniel backs away. Daniel has 16 camels. But Daniel will not have the middle. Now, I think maybe, like, one of the biggest things about, and this is a nice find for Daniel, one of the biggest things about the Georgians that maybe it's just not so fun to talk about in early game, and maybe I'm not even factoring it into my commentary enough, is the bonuses they have that help them in the Trebor situation. Having this middle hill is so valuable with the Georgians. You're going to receive... I always forget, actually. I think you put less into repairs. I also think you receive less damage when you're on the hill. I'm so sorry. I literally had the same confusion yesterday. But I think it is both of those things. And I think that factors in hugely here if you get the middle. So Daniel might... I mean, we're getting close to where I think Daniel might need to force a fight in the middle. Just because he's going to be so scared about these Trebs. Interesting that Barles chooses to go in here. Barles can see a lot with the outpost here. That vision is actually insane for him and the Trebs. And yeah, he's going to Treb down the Siege Workshop because he knows Malians will have that fast chemistry upgrade. And with that fast chemistry upgrade, Bombard Cannons would be coming out. And Daniel forced to make another Siege Workshop now. But Daniel's eco is still flying. He's going to have heavy camel. I think you take the fight. I think heavy camel... decent upgrades. I don't think you wait any longer here if you're Daniel. You do not have enough villagers on gold. I think you got to take this fight. He's looking for monks. He's looking around. I know it's just camel. But Daniel, you've got to think about fighting up this hill here, I would think. He is going to wait for a bombard cannon, though. Having more patience than I would in this situation. Because my thinking is, what if it gets worse? What if there are more Manaspa? And we are already seeing more Manaspa come out of these two castles. It can't feel too good to want to go in here and then to hear those monks Daniel headed over here with his camels. And now he's looping back around. There are the Manaspa. Daniel has lost his castle. We have the Lycav looping in from the other side. They were there for the monks. They're not going to find the monks. Daniel's Trebs are still firing. Daniel's camels are going to go in. He's killing Trebs. Are these camels going to be good enough? And will the bombard cannon on the right side be able to snipe these Trebs? We've waited a long time for this big engagement. It could honestly still go either way. That bombard cannon's hugely important here. And the Manaspa, who have +4 attack right now just because of how many there are. Is it enough? Elite Manaspa's on the way. This is no better time for Daniel to take a fight than right now. Yeah, he should be engaging all the time, which he is. 20 seconds away from Elite Manaspa. The camels are doing their job. The camels are definitely doing their job. The Manaspa are all disappearing. And that was the worst possible time for Barles to take the fight. He had to take the fight, though, because of all this pressure coming from Daniel. And so all the Trebs are going to go down for Barles. He's still just going to be making Manaspa. And it seems like he's really struggling, actually, for the resources to do this right now. The good news for him is Daniel doesn't really have a lot of siege. He has another cannon back here, but this is a very awkward spot for him. And he does have 2 castles, and Manaspas do produce pretty quickly. And now they're elite. So he's getting ballistics, he's getting fletching. That's to help the 2 castles. But again, it's like the Manaspa is so strong, right? But the win rate hasn't been that good for Georgians because of players only relying on the Manaspa. So it's like, yeah, it's a strong unit. But is it too predictable? I think in many ways it is, right? And we mentioned maybe the Halb possibility if you expect the camels. And Barles unable to really do that. Now, if there's any openings on the side, there actually is for Daniel. This could be brutal. He's left a hole here. I hate it when players do this. Make gates, please. Make gates. You do not want a headache here, Daniel. The Manaspa are going to run through. And now the bombard cannons maybe going to be found. Manaspa going in. Barles will happily throw away these Manaspa just to delay. He kills 2 bombard cannons. That's huge. Oh, man. Does Daniel see this? Barles is just looking for an opportunity. This is the type of thing that can really unravel you. Look at Barles split up his Manaspa into different areas. And yeah, he's going to do the same thing again. He's just going to say, okay, you're distracted. And as you're distracted, I'm going to go in and snipe your siege. We do have more Trebs on the way for Daniel as he tries to deal with this. This is real messy for him. He has the lead. But he's losing villagers. He has idle time. His idle time's flying up. The pressure must be insane. He is also over here forcing reactions from Barles, who also needs this gold. This is actually huge from Daniel right now. Because he's got villagers all over the gold. He's got camels waiting. Barles doesn't really have the gold income. God, these freaking Manaspa that got through. Danny boy. Danny boy. Please. Okay, he noticed. And it's just one of those things, right? That players, they just don't think about. Just make a gate. Just make a freaking gate. Make sure you're walled on the sides. Player like Barles is always going to be paying attention to those things. Or Manaspa come in. That will be another cannon dead, but it's the Trebs now that are really key. And we do see some spears in queue for Barles now. Daniel's eco took a hit. Absolutely did. He lost another Treb here. Telling you, investing less into repairs is massive in these situations, isn't it? Daniel! Oh my god, he's like, okay, I'm going to drop a castle right there. My castle will be what protects my Trebs. Obviously, would love to see upgrades like ballistics and fletching here. I think it'd be a nice help for Daniel with this castle. Pretty wild that he placed that one, but I don't hate it. Barles, he's wide open for raids, but camels don't really raid that frequently, and Barles starting to add barracks so we can get into pikes. This is a wild castle from Daniel. Okay, so what do you guys think about this whole investing less in a repair thing? It feels like these castles are impossible to take down. It's actually insane. Like, there's 4 Trebs here. This bonus is wild, dude. So I understand the Georgians pick, because it's like, this doesn't feel like the same game. It feels like they're taking no damage at all. Let's see. 4 Trebs hitting it. I mean, by the time the Trebs hit again, the HP is back up to where it was before. He has no upgrades whatsoever, and this is the case. It's wild. You still are investing into repairs, I guess. So it's not like you're not. And holy crap, we've got 44 camels for Daniel. If Daniel could just afford the Farimba upgrade, really worth it at this point with these numbers. Does feel like progress is being made. Daniel happily repairing his castle behind here. And I think Daniel will take the fight. Barles has a ton of pikes in queue. Like, if he had these 20 pikes in queue out in the field now, it's a very different fight. But he finally loses the castle. And Daniel, you could tell, is expecting the pike switch. He's going to start to make some Gabetto, too, because he saw the barracks coming up. And he will know that he needs some defense for the pikemen. His camels go in. No Farimba upgrade. Just pure numbers here for Daniel. He doesn't have time to think about it as he goes for the castle. And I think the American should win this fight, right? I mean, look at the military numbers. There's no world where he doesn't win this fight. And if he can win this fight, he can control the hill. And if he can control the hill, he will be able to control this gold. And Barles, he put up everything he could here. He repaired. He had the Trebs. He was faster to imp. But the Malians says, screw you and your mule carts, Georgians. We've got this. And this is before this even gets into Daniel's final form. We don't have Elite Gabetto. We don't even have that many upgrades for the Gabetto. But they have nice stats to mix in against the Halbs with. And these camels, they're Farimba-less, but they could be Farimba soon. And then get that +7 attack. We said it about the series. We said that maybe Barles is the favorite. But Daniel is an incredible talent. He's incredibly quick. He's incredibly aggressive. And he is just so solid, guys. And right now, you do worry a little bit for him against the Halbs. But I think he's just taking the fight because he knows there's Gabetto mixed in here that are helping a lot. And he does have a lot more army in queue. Quite a few camels going down, but these Trebs are still trebbing down buildings. The Gabetto count's going up. The Halb count is, I mean, it's so low. It's just 8 Halbs right now for Barles. Barles is losing everything. Does have some raids here again, but Daniel notices it. And Barles is going to try a little bit more. But Barles, he lost his TC on the gold. He lost his castles on the gold. We'll look at the Georgian win rate after this, guys. But the Georgians have not been winning a lot in this qualifier. And actually, this is the first pick from Barles. He picked Georgians first. This would be a big momentum killer here for Barles. Maybe it's weird to say momentum killer in the first game because no one really has momentum, but this is a big boost to Daniel's confidence, certainly. I'd love to see Daniel buy some stone and just drop another castle somewhere. At this point, I think even without that, though, I mean, you've 2 castles and your opponent just has 1. You've got Gabetto on the field. You've got monks on the field. You've got camels on the field. The Gabetto are actually kind of in a tough position here, so Daniel has to be careful. But does this look like a man who cares right now? Well, he cares a little bit more, actually. He didn't care until he lost all his Gabetto. Daniel has to be really careful. The Manaspa actually do really well against Gabetto, and there are more Manaspa being produced from the back. But majority of these Trebs are still going to be saved. Castle will still go up on the hill. As a big Malians enjoyer, it does make me sad we still haven't seen Farimba yet. I just had to say that. I get prioritizing Elite Gabetto, actually, because of the amount of Halbs out there. But would still really like to see the Farimba upgrade. Crazy. I really thought that once Barles had the Trebs and was hitting Daniel, that Daniel was not going to have much of a response to it, honestly. I thought the camels maybe wouldn't be good enough. Maybe Barles here, he needed the Halbs a little bit earlier, but timing's so critical on this map, and it's so... Sometimes it does just come down to one really big engagement near the siege. Not all the time. We've seen some more unique things, but I think players... When it gets to the level where players don't want to take risks, that's what we've seen more often than not. And Barles still in this. 170 pops. Still mining gold. But he'll start to lose some of these buildings here. His Halbs are fully upgraded, but how are you supposed to stop these Gabettos? These things were also buffed recently. They're kind of underutilized even still. But they're always a really good unit. They have low HP. So if they get hit by anything, they do die pretty quickly. but they have a lot of damage output. And now Farimba is in for Daniel, so now his camels have that +7 attack, a 7 +7 attack. And guys, talk to me about the Georgian tech tree. Like, what else is there, if not Manaspa, if not Halb? Monks, maybe? Monks could be pretty decent. I just don't think, and this has been pretty evident with Georgians being quite new, there's really not much else to get super, super excited about with the Georgians. Which, you know, from a balance perspective, it makes sense because they want this unique unit to be a big part of it, of their play. Right? You don't want them to have a million other things. But when you're up against a civ like Malians, look at these Trebs go down, though. When you're up against a civ like Malians, who can make, there was so many options, and Camels is one of them, I think going into the Naspa was always going to be expected here. And Daniel kind of knew, as long as I play into Camels is so good. But, like, Daniel's a player who likes to be aggressive early, guys. He doesn't really have a lot of patience. He's just like, I need to kill fast. I need to win this game. We've got somewhere to be. You know, that's just kind of the feeling you get sometimes with Daniel. People like to joke that he resigns early in games, for example. But also, like, he's going to be someone who kills you within 10 minutes, right? But the thing is, you need patience, right? To really make, you need patience. You can't force the issue, especially against Barles. Because Barles is just not going to, he's going to bend, but he's never going to break. And Daniel has shown incredible patience here in this game. It still is actually showing great patience. I think some people are waiting for this game to end right now. I kind of thought this game was over, myself included. But Daniel is just camping the gold. He's like, I know you need this. Barles has a whole bunch of Halbs, though. He's got 60 Halbs on the field. What a sick job from Barles not to be dead, though, honestly. Could snag this relic back here, maybe, for some gold income. Oh, God. Okay. Barles takes the population lead. Barles isn't done yet. I guess the fact that the camels are so squishy up against these Halbs makes it a real problem. You know what I would like? Is I would like to see these Manaspa actually leave the main fight and go for another raid. That actually seems like a really nice idea for Barles. Oh my god. Oh my god, he's trying to jump on... He's trying to jump in here on the Gabetto. He's kind of got a surround on them. This is a really good fight for Barles. Daniel is losing a lot here. No siege yet for Barles. These castles are going to help for Daniel, but the Gabetto kind of disappearing there to those Manaspa. Daniel, though, probably panicking, but he backs away in between these castles. Castles here have 20 kills. I was clicking that expecting it to be more like 50. But obviously, Barles can only dive like that so many times. And yeah, watching these Gabetto move around, you are still seeing a lot of them go down, and Barles refuses to quit. I don't like the idea of champion because I think they get wrecked by the Manaspa. I think what Daniel is doing is actually perfect. Champion also is a little bit more cost-effective. I don't think you want to worry about cost-effectiveness in a Gold Rush game where you have full gold saturation. I actually think mixing in more monks for healing and converting could be good. But beyond that, I like what Daniel's doing. I do not like... It bothers me so much how this is still open. Like, this... It's a way that Barles could maybe come back into the game. Barles back in the middle now. And Daniel clearly a little distracted. But, yep, Gabetto and Camels here trying to protect the Trebs as the Trebs go for yet another Barles castle. Big engagement. This might be the final engagement. I mean, Barles has tried so much, but against Elite Gabetto and Farimba Camel, there should be no chance. And Daniel wastes no time getting more Trebs out here. And Barles, he's been starved for gold. He's been starved for gold for a long time. Before he had 50 or 60 Halbs. Now he's down to 15. He doesn't really have the eco anymore, and the GG's called, and Daniel just spammed camels that game. 226 camels. But you do wonder, could Barles have maybe opened Halb with his Trebs? That would have been interesting, right? He did go for the Manaspa. He did go for Elite. It, of course, was a bit poor timing there for Barles. Daniel forced the fight against him right before the Elite Manaspa upgrade completed. But Camel was a great play from Daniel. Keep in mind, Daniel was not in goal, not on the gold in the middle at the same time. It was Barles who had the castles. It was Barles who had the TCs. It was all Barles, and Daniel found a way, gets the first win, and man, does this make this exciting. Again, spoke to Daniel. He's like, honestly, I think Barles is the favorite, but it depends on who shows up on the day. On Gold Rush, I would have given the edge to Barles. That was the first Civ pick for Barles. And Daniel, look at that gold income. 29,000 gold income in that game. Just ridiculous stuff, and he gets the win. Well, we've got ourselves a series. All right, game 2. This feels like a big one. We've got Spanish against the Malay. Now, the Malay are the most successful civilization so far on the qualifier, and they've always been very strong here as well. We've got Daniel coming forward with the Vil. I was wondering how frequently this is going to happen once the level went up, because Daniel is a quick wall and god, and this is a closed map, and Daniel wants to be a nerd. He wants to be annoying. We could see this be a lame fest, honestly. If we had different players, so we might just see, you know, wall through the middle, and that's it. But scouts finding each other here, and Barles is going to be like, oh no. Oh no. Barles actually has 2 boars here. Barles no stranger to a villager fight because of his Black Forest experience. And, ooh, Daniel. Daniel does have Loom. But Daniel's scout is now weaker, and now Loom is on the way for Barles. Those boars look tempting, but there's no way you can really do anything with them right now. Okay, that's a new one. That's one way to do it. Daniel just uses the villager to take the sheep, loses his scout, and now it's a quick wall fest. And we'll see if Daniel can get the quick walls down. Oh my god, what the? Daniel! What are you doing? Okay, I'm just going to give Daniel the benefit of the doubt and say that he tried to click past the boar and accidentally clicked the boar. Because oh boy, we've got another Vil. Because I think clicking the boar, that was always going to be the result. But, you know, clip it, please. Clip it. Daniel is so upset about that. And Daniel, oh my god! Daniel snags it, which I would love to explain, and now will he lose another villager? Quick wall? Oh, what's happening? This is the most confused boar of all time. Oh god. It's gonna die out here. This is what Daniel wants. And it's dead. Wow, I mean, it's almost worth a replay, but the main thing to explain there is when a boar is on its target, you can de-aggro it, meaning it'll stop attacking whatever it is if you build over it. So best example is like, ever try and build a castle where a deer is, and the deer just kind of moves out of the way? The boars will do the same thing. And that boar was locked onto Barles. It was going in, and then what happened there was Daniel used the house foundation to de-aggro it, then he shot it. So, I mean, Daniel, you know villagers are supposed to work at home, though, right? Like, what is this, the 3rd villager now? So he's now going to shoot the deer in the middle. So, okay, that's obviously a lot more exciting than we were expecting here at the start. Is it worth it to mill this, guys? What do you think? You've got 100 food from the sheep. You've got 300 food from the boar. You don't have to walk. You can't push deer now. And now the scout is actually dead, which is a big deal. Maybe it's worth it. I don't know. Now, Barles has collected more resources. And also, how much has Daniel scouted of his own base? Okay, so Daniel has been using this villager to look for a boar because he doesn't have a scout now. So I think it's very easy on paper to be like, man, laming is just so broken. Laming is... Well, Daniel has no scout. And Daniel's villagers have been walking across the map. So he's collected, like, very little resources compared to his opponent because his villagers have decided to go for a stroll instead of work. So I actually think the position for Barles is actually not bad. Keep in mind, Barles didn't lose a Vil. He can take the deer here to the mill. Here, he's still taking some from the boar. He still has his resources here. And Daniel's sheep has finally found this boar. Okay, so what do we do from here? I don't know exactly what happens from here. See, what I was expecting was just a wall through the middle and a fast feudal into some type of adaptation for the Malay. But now, I really can't tell you. Okay, so no mill here from Barles. I do still like the fact that he is collecting some of this hunt. Too many players just kind of let it there. And it's like, nope, it's inefficient. I'm not going to do it. But that's still 35 food a trip. And I think that combined with some of the food he's taking out here is still really good for him. But obviously, out of food underneath the TC. So in some ways, like, yeah, in some ways, the lane paid off, but I don't know. Anyways, certainly the type of game that Daniel wanted, right? It's interesting to use the melee this way. But I think Daniel's just he's the aggressor here in this series. And he just felt like on this map, all Barles wants is walls and reaction. And he doesn't want to give Barles that opportunity. Barles has collected 400 more resources than Daniel. And Daniel's building a barracks. Daniel, I think, going to click up here. Yeah, surprise, surprise. I, for one, am shocked that Daniel is going to follow this up with a fast feudal into some type of aggression. I am just absolutely shocked. This doesn't sound like Daniel at all. Daniel? Wanting to be aggressive? Huh? Really? Huh, okay, all right. Yep. Might be at the expense of his eco, though. He's not going to be able to afford a lot. He is making the militia right now. He's got 7 on berries. There's the first militia. Actually does have deer over here. Might be worth taking. And Barles also making militia. This is cute. They're going to meet in the middle. And, well, they missed each other right now. But they're going to find each other soon. And here comes Daniel even with more villagers. And this will obviously be some type of a tower play here from Daniel. And I think just towering the berries is where you start. Barles has realized this, and Barles is going to try and cancel the idea. And Daniel's going to drop this. I really like this. Really like this aggression. You're utilizing... You are benefiting from the fast feudal age so much more if you drop the tower than if you wait for archers. By the time the first archer would arrive, Barles would be in feudal and would be able to tower himself here. Now, I think this is really good from Barles. Daniel never even scouted those, but using the militia to just kill the deer is really nice. Keep in mind, Daniel has no double bid axe, and we are going to see Barles go for double bid axe and horse collar. This has come at the expense of Daniel's economy. And he would love nothing more than to break through here, but Barles is just going to take this as an invitation to Stonewall. And if he can get these walls down, these men-at-arms are not going to break through. But obviously, if those men-at-arms get through, this could be nightmares for Barles. Daniel's economy is going to be rough for food income. Most of his food eco is there. And then the men-at-arms are through. But can they get past this? Feels like Daniel's going to want to drop another tower. Doesn't quite have the stone for it. Now, sometimes the gates will open. He probably is setting the direction for the villagers to head back this way. But in rare instances, the gate will open. I think that's why that villager got pulled. If that gate opened there, that would have been insane. It would be really nice if you could lock a gate before it was built. Actually, I think, did they add that recently? Or am I just coming up with things? I think it might have been... Okay, new patch can pre-lock the gate. Oh, they did. Okay, so it is... All right, sorry. Yeah, so I actually haven't done that yet myself, so I haven't tested how that works, but I imagine Barles probably did that then. Yeah, just added it. Cool. Yeah, it was a really cool addition. It was a really well thought out addition because, like I just described, it can be really frustrating sometimes. So, Barles, he lost his boar, but ever since, his eco's been great. Look at his farming eco compared to Daniel. It's incredible. And now he's just going to stone wall and, like... Clearly, Daniel's game plan is aggression, aggression, aggression here with melee. But I think what is usually best with melee is actually to play the more eco side of things. You do have this wood wall. So you could, if anyone's going to cut that right now, it might be Daniel. You could head over there, but again, Daniel's economy does not seem that strong. And right now, it doesn't look like he's going to break through to Barles' space. Spanish builders do build faster. And Spanish love nothing more than being put onto stone. So they can, stone wall, and then potentially we could see conquistadors here. So I feel like the position for Barles is really good to tie up the series. Daniel probably sitting here like, oh boy. All right. If your opponent's going to go Conquistadors, I think stonewalling at home is the next play for Daniel. Obviously, they're both heading up towards Castle Age from here. There's not going to be much else in the way of action. You can't just, like, leave this open when it's so easy to wall, in my opinion. And you're already on stone, so I would love to see stone walls through here. He's going to go house walls for now. I think it's an underrated play. And initially, I was thinking you stonewall in the front. But I think if you stonewall in the front, then Barles just castles the stonewall, and then the castle shoots it down. So I don't know if that would necessarily be the right play. But Daniel's eco has been abysmal. Did end up squeezing in the double bit X upgrade, which is good, but look at Barles, man. Barles is cool as a cucumber, man. Are cucumbers part of a Polish diet? I don't know. But clearly, he has embodied a cucumber here, as the saying goes. Very clean. More villagers to stone. He will definitely build that castle. And there goes some stone walls from Daniel. I think that's the right play. Because you're going to need to buy some time here. Lots of pickled cucumbers in Poland. Polish pickled cucumbers. Interesting. Okay. I love pickled cucumbers, actually. It's not something I have that frequently, so maybe I need to make a trip to Poland. Are they good enough for me to fly to Poland, though? Thank you, Arachnia, Misplaced, Isaac, Mr. Ladida, Buer, Kendog, Ender. Thank you, everybody, for the subs. Poland Pickle Meetup. That doesn't sound weird at all. So I like what Barles is doing here. He's like, we are going to go for that castle right away. We're not going to wait. Because you could opt to go for the second TC. You could opt to go for eco, but he's like, nope. Conquistadors really give me a lot of firepower here. Houses are the weak point still. Like, I get why he's done this, because he needs the houses anyways. But you get a couple Conquistadors on the hill shooting downhill at a house. I think that house could go down pretty quickly compared to the stone walls. Barles is in Castle Age. This is always frustrating. He needed the stone. He figures, let's just buy it. And there he goes. This militia is behind enemy lines and is moving. So he's looking for intel to pass along. But yeah, we know the castle's going to go up. I think Barles is just going to patrol that right there on the gold. And here come the Conquistadors. He deletes some of his own walls. And it's time for everyone at Daniel's base to brace themselves. I think, like, Daniel, he gets in Castle Age in time. The quickest response to a bunch of Conquistadors is going to be monks. Because if you try and go for the archer approach, it takes a long time to mass them. You need quite a few upgrades. Monks you don't really need upgrades on, and they can still get conversions. Oh my god. So Barles actually used the militia to scout the wall earlier. Look at this. He goes Conquistador, and he goes Petard. Okay, one Petard is enough to take out a Feudal Age Stonewall. Daniel will be Feudal Age for another 40 seconds. The countdown is officially on. If Daniel hits Castle Age before this Petard hits, it will take 2 Petards to bust through this wall. This is a crazy play from Barles. To recognize that detail, to understand that if this hits in time, that he could be through is wild. It is a Petard race. And he's going for the house! You completely ruined it for us! It would have been so epic! But he can still go through the house, and maybe he thought that his opponent would hit Castle Age, and he still has the militia there, and the militia is guiding the Conquistadors. Honestly, Daniel is very fortunate. Because if that Petard hit this wall, those conks are through, and Daniel has... I mean, it's already a bad situation, but he has a worse situation. So, conks are going to get through anyways. Daniel should know there's a hole here, right? Oh, God! No, he doesn't! He does not, because remember, he lost his scout in his opponent's base laming in the Dark Age. And Barles is going to see the Vills. He's going to kill a Vill. He'll feel happy about that. I mean, he doesn't even need to go that way. Daniel's situation is brutal, dude. This TC doesn't even protect the gold. He does have a monk on the way. This is, ugh. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Oh, God. Oh, geez. Uh-oh. This is... Uh-oh. Okay. Conquistadors have wandered through. A bunch of villagers have died. More villagers will die. This is just nonstop. Daniel is getting wrecked. Daniel is probably stressed. Daniel's monk now is going to die as well. And this is a no good, very bad situation for Daniel, who wanted to avoid the Spanish supremacy or dominance and conquistadors by trying to stop in Dark Age. But this is just not good at all. And such a good job from Barles. He actually researched the devotion text, so his conks resist conversion. So that's an interesting thing. He snipes another monk. Conquistadors are just insane. And the GG's called. Barles ties it up 1-1 on his home map. And yeah, I mean, the theme of the game here is Daniel just went into this. Daniel was like, I don't think I'm good at this map. I don't like this map. Let's just go crazy. And it was maybe a little too crazy, right? He lost a villager to a boar. He did get revenge on the boar. But, I mean, listen, I think Barles played this very well against the aggression. He defended perfectly. And I think he made it look easy, actually. Because it's not one thing to defend from the attack, but it's the other thing to have a fantastic economy behind this. And that's precisely what he had. And now that crazy first game is kind of forgotten about by Barles as he's staring at the 1-1 scoreline. Good stuff. All right, so game number 3 scores 1-1. We have pick number 1 for Daniel in the Persians against pick number 2 for Barles in the Byzantines. And both of these civilizations are on a short list of very dominant, very strong civilizations for Cross. Cross has a ton of different elements to it. You've got the openness to the wood lines, you have the water, of course, and then you have the expansive golds. It's not an easy map to play, but Persians become easier to play because of the additional wood and the additional food. That, combined with the TC work rate, combined with how strong their docks are, just makes them really, really strong. And also, in Castle Age, you're usually seeing knights and not really archers on this map. So, I think that's another reason why Persians can be seen as strong. But the Byzantines get vision on all their buildings when they make it to each age, which really helps on a map where people sneak a lot. The Byzantines have these stronger fire ships as compared to any civ, but especially the Persians. And they also have more HP on their buildings, which means their docks stick around for a long time. And they just have cheap counter units. So, yeah, I mean, in my opinion, as we see the scouts engage over here, very early scouting from Barles. My opinion, the Byzantines are really solid. And I think the Byzantines are just... Basically, if nothing goes wrong, Byzantines are always going to be able to compete here. And Daniel's going to be more the aggressor here, I would guess. Barles, though, he's going to be the type of guy to just kind of soak up that pressure. And revenge for the previous game. Barles has an opportunity. And Daniel de-aggroes the boar with the villager. That is so good. And now he can actually bring in his boar. That was really nice play. Because a lot of people lose a villager right there. But, you know, you notice the difference here is how early Barles came forward with the scout. And this is so important on this map. I think pushing deer is rather unimportant here. You're going to have food from the fish. You have to know where your opponent is docked and where they're going to find resources. It's actually interesting, though. Barles is scouting before he finds his own sheep and whatnot. So Daniel actually gets 300 food here. Barles was scouting with one of his geese, and he scouted his friendly geese, and they've got stolen now. Daniel will place a dock. He will actually have to palisade over the reeds. That reminds me, we need to remove the reeds from this map, I think. It's just an annoyance. And then over here, Barles going out to dock, and Daniel noticing that and wanting to deny it. God, so much more aggression here at the start than we normally see. It's just with the starting scout. Yo, what's up, Zesco? Glad you could make it. How many Americans do we have here? Do we got people rooting for Danny Boy right now? Like, Barles, maybe a little bit more popular from the overall age scene. He's accomplished a bit more than Daniel. Okay, we don't have to go, America, USA. Let's not be too obnoxious, guys. Come on. All right, you already got me being obnoxious for you. All right, cool. That's good to see. Hey, listen, we don't have a lot to hang our hat on, all right? In the States. So, Daniel, we love him. We root for him. I like to see it. All right, so Daniel ends up making his dock. Now, the big question is, will we see a barracks? Will we see a stable or an archery range? Or will it be a sneak villager? Daniel knows where Barles is docked. I think against Byzantines, you wouldn't normally want to try and dock their pond because they're so good at winning water. But if you're Persians and your dock is stronger, you might still want to do it. Find some fishing ship kills. To me, it kind of feels like Daniel's going to attempt it here. I think this villager building the house... actually, it could realistically be a barracks villager, in all honesty. But might see a villager weave over this way. Where's Barles right now? Why do I not see his scout? Okay, his scout is here pushing in deer. So Barles lost 300 food. And his opponent gained 300 food. It's funny, in both the last two games, we've seen the player who's gone forward with their scout earlier to try and lay him actually come out being in the worst position. Doesn't always happen that way, of course, but there just shows there's a risk associated with it in some ways. Someone said, can we do a quick Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to our God, whose name is Daniel. May he nerd out in early feudal and kill his opponent by 15 minutes, or unfortunately, he will resign. I hope he didn't have too much coffee because he will over micro and forget to add farms in his eco. And that's all I've got right now, but we're still working on it, okay? We're still working on it. Okay, militia are on the way from Daniel. He's gone all gold. He's making militia, and he's bringing a villager. This is the type of energy we like. This is the type of energy we pledge to. Oh, I forgot the amen. True. And Barles is paranoid about this pond because he knows his opponent scouted it, and he missed the villager. Daniel with the little weave, with the little deke, with the little dodge, even though I don't know he knew about that. He's going to sneak through here. And there's militia, too. Now, Barles will see the militia. So, usually, if you're seeing the militia, you're not expecting forward dock. That's very rare. It's normally a militia and then an archery range at home. Barles, though, do you see this? Barles is getting a dock down on Daniel's side. Wow, we missed that. Sneaky plays from both of them. And who is going to notice? Barles needs to drop walls. We could have a fishless game pretty soon, people. Walls coming up from Barles. Very well done. Daniel has noticed this because he was fishing the shoreline. That's what you do. What about this side? Barles. Oh, he's not. He wants the efficiency of the deep fish. He's checking, though. I think he senses something. It's interesting he's brought his Vil here. I'm not sure. Maybe he wanted another dock here. I think he's just now going to find out. Yeah, because he isn't making any fires at home. He's just now going to find out. Keep in mind, it is a lot harder for Barles because he's got all this aggression at his base to deal with. Like, you've got to pay close attention to your walls because otherwise, if you screw up, you're going to have the man-at-arms in on you, and that could end the game. And being off of gold ends your aggression and your defense on water here. So gold is actually the most important thing. Danu, though, goes double dock in defense at home just to make sure he doesn't lose these fish. It's been a lot of aggression so far. I like this. I like this for Daniel right now. But he has to be careful against the Byzantine fires. These Byzantine fires can win on both sides. Daniel just kind of just parks the fire galley. And over here, just because the Barles was late to seeing this and Barles didn't have fires, Barles is going to start to lose his fishing ships as he's outnumbered. Daniel actually lost a villager here to the scout from Barles, which is interesting. And Daniel's scout also died, which I missed, and I'm not sure where that would have went. But that is actually a pretty big deal if Daniel wants to go to the other ponds. Like this villager here, for example, doesn't have full scouting here. It's hard work to do that, to do this, but he has pretty much won this pond at this point. You don't need to invest anything more here if you're Daniel. You may eventually be able to fish there if you're fortunate. Barles has made pretty nice progress over here, though. Archer range for Daniel as he wants to follow up on land. We already have an archer range for Barles. And I like the fact we're seeing farms from Barles. I think that's really underrated here. I mean, it's needed when you're losing fish, of course. I mean, that's the obvious thing. But I think Daniel could, in theory, be mixing some in as well. But there's just so many things happening. You're producing out of so many different areas. It's just not easy. Here we go. Again, Byzantine fires at work here. Daniel's fishing ship still alive for now. This villager needs to repair. Get the repairs in. But man, are these Byzantine fires so freaking strong, dude. They just melt everything so quickly. This is why Byzantines are so strong. Look at that. It's crazy. Feudal Age Byzantine fires are actually... They actually pretty much tie an upgraded Castle Age fire. To just add some additional perspective to how good Byzantines are. And wow, Daniel's falling apart now. At least in that area. So Daniel will lose his fish too. And over here, like, he would love to add fishing ships here, but he hasn't won the pond yet. But that's good micro from Daniel. Clearly, the players are looking at other things, and it's just Barles quick walling here. Guys, this map is like 10 times more difficult to play than it feels like when you watch it. And I'm sure you guys can feel how difficult it is when you watch it too. Nice job there from Daniel. A demo. You might as well demo the dock at this point. So, res collected, Daniel's ahead. Food count, though, it seems like it's been slightly better for Barles. Daniel will be adding fish, though. I also love how he's brought a spear here to patrol the shoreline and check. So, he may be assuming that right now Barles is in the north or something. And Barles' archers might head to the south now, actually. It feels like a pretty... Yeah, I mean, he's headed that way. Feels like a good direction to go. Both players on ranged units. And production, like crazy for both of them. Daniel not really producing here anymore. Barles obviously happy with what he's done. And yeah, these archers are going to scout the shoreline right now. Someone showed up. I think it was their first comment of this stream. I could be wrong. I'm lying. I don't even know. I think it's funnier if it was their first comment. And they just said, I stink. I stink. And then one of my mods said, you must be from YouTube. If you just came from YouTube, make sure you take a shower first, all right? Here we go. Man-at-Arms attacking. Skirm should be great for the Byzantines here. Daniel really trying to force the issue here. Probably felt like the Man-at-Arms would do it. But Barles fought it off very nicely. I don't know if this is an issue, but something I find with the Persians... As the archers actually have been left untracked. Daniel's got to deal with this. The thing I noticed with the Persians is their TCs work so fast that... Oh my god, what a save from Daniel. What a save from Daniel. How did he save that? I thought that villager was dead. Beautiful save from him. Meanwhile, actually took a pretty big fight on this side. But I actually feel like their TCs produce so fast that you never have resources. You know? It's like... I don't know if it's an anti-bonus bonus, as I like to say, but it does feel like... Because you want to keep your TCs working all the time. Feels like you get to this crazy, crazy eco count, but you just never have the resources to do anything. Daniel did make a lot of skirms. He is also getting armor. And he's not close to up, and we have Barles being up already to the Castle Age. Daniel is going to head over here to dock this area. He doesn't have scouting on it, so he might add a ship there to see if Barles is there. And Barles would be on a stable. Barles can go for some knights. Barles can go for camels in the long run. Barles still has archers. This could be good for Barles, but he does not know how committed Daniel is to range units right now, to my knowledge. But Daniel also doesn't know Barles is moving forward, and Daniel is wide open here, guys. He's wide open. No walling. And, like, Daniel knows these berries are here, so he really wants to apply pressure. But Barles isn't worried about that. It's just a couple berry bushes. Barles can leave that. And now Barles is on the berries, and Daniel reacts, and this is a bad feeling if you're Daniel. Really bad feeling. Because you're wide open, and you've sent all your army forward. The last thing you want to do is come home with that now, because you feel like you need to get counter damage. But, oh, man. Oh, Barles. Actually not really microing it as he would have wanted. actually thought he was going to find Vil kills. I think if he immediately committed to Vil kills, that's a different situation. But he is actually a little paranoid because of this. Ooh, this is interesting. That read is also there. I'm going to see if I can get the reads removed. I can just see there's a couple instances where these just seem annoying for a player. Like Daniel just realized that that is blocking. It's not like map breaking or anything. It's just like I don't want additional annoyances if I can avoid it. Gotta wall up here, Daniel. You already had your warning. You gotta wall up. You gotta tower, dude. You've got to protect yourself. Double stables. We're building stables where farms can go because fish is king for Daniel. He's got 13 fishing ships against just the one from Barles. And here comes Barles. But Barles has this to deal with, guys. Barles, he's going forward with archers, but he's got this to deal with right now. Does have the knight for that. Knight should be enough to deal with that. Tower goes up for Daniel. Daniel just a minute away from clicking up. Res collected higher for Daniel. Daniel has 14 fishing ships, and it is messy. It is scrappy. It is stressful if you're a Daniel fan, and even more stressful for him, I'm sure. But Daniel has the TPD, the triple pawns domination, as Dash coined. Dash, I think it was a Dash Dave phrase from NAC, and well, the fish are working away. I don't think fish are overrated. I think fish are really strong. It's just so fun how, like, if the player gets fish, there's always a downside on land. I just love that about this map. Pros and cons to everything. Looks like the tower's done a pretty decent job here killing most of these ranged units, but Daniel now pushed off of gold. Daniel needs some army here. He's going to make some knights. No stone for Daniel to drop a second TC. Barles has done that, so Barles will rise in Vil count, which he needs because he does not have the fishing ships. And Barles will not be able to get here without being spotted. He will not be able to get here without being spotted. So that's big for Daniel. Daniel now hoping the spears can get some hits in on the camels. And he's using the villagers actually to fight off the archers. I like how much Barles has here. It feels like just enough to really disrupt and keep Daniel off of gold a little bit longer. This must be so annoying for Daniel. But Daniel's going to clear this. Yeah, Daniel's going to clear this now. He'll get back on that gold. And, again, he needs it because he can't make much more in the way of knights and camels without it. What a close game. Oh, my goodness. Baradin, thanks for the prime. Thank you, Spaz. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. So many people excited. I mean, the good news here, guys, is this series has just been phenomenal so far. The potential bad news is the MBL Cap Watch series is scheduled to start in 45 minutes. So I will not leave this series. The goal is to, of course, cast MBL Cap Watch from the very beginning. But if this series continues, we may we may miss the start of that one. I could always ask them to wait, actually. I can see if they'd be okay with waiting, but at the end of the day, it's free scheduling right now. They will not have to wait if they do not want to. Daniel's got a monastery and a stable in the back of Barles' eco. And Barles can see this because he's Byzantines. I respect the energy from Daniel so much, but doing this against Byzantines is kind of funny to me because if any civ's going to see this, it's going to be Byzantines. Having said that, this is working, and it must be annoying for Barles, and he's not actually going to get the walls down in time. So, you know, this is frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? Daniel getting raided on the stone. Barles, look at his vision with that outpost. Look at him. And Barles is accomplishing so much more, and Daniel's eco really seems to be having some problems right now. All the camels for Barles will come back home to deal with this. And Daniel's lost so much more to this night raid than maybe he even realized. A beautiful find from Barles, and again, he's played so consistent ever since he reached the Castle Age. He's on 3 town centers. I love the outposting there. And he's just moved on from the fish. And that's kind of, you know, my initial vision of Cross. It's less fish than, like, Four Lakes and whatnot on the ladder. Obviously, Cross is, like, the original version, which inspired the Four Lakes. And it's just, I like how you have the transition to land. It's very tricky. What is this, Daniel? The spearmen are... I mean, that is hilarious. This feels like something from a campaign. Spearmen are looking into they're peering in at the archers. They're having a chat. Daniel also has the waypoints on his TC set forward. He is completely stressed out of his mind right now, guys. He's falling apart a little bit. See this? At one point, in the midst of all the action, he accidentally set his waypoint for his TCs forward. So he is just sending villager after villager to their death. And yeah, he just realized. But that was like the third or fourth villager that I think has gone down that way. And Daniel, even a random archer from Barles back here, it feels really tough for him to do too much, but he keeps plugging away. Good old Persian monk rush. In the back of the eco, here we go. Crazy. Such crazy defense from Barles, man. Like, how was he able to get to Castle Age so quickly? On the back of all that pressure. He lost his fish so early. But I guess he was able to kill his opponent's fish. 17 fish for Daniel. But, like, at this point, it becomes relatively inefficient. We are very close to Daniel being out of deep fish here. So he will need to fish trap. And that is not going to be easy when you've got camels all over your face. 24 camels for Barles. Byzantines are insane. But we do have the pike upgrade now for Daniel, and that's a big one. And now this comes down to that castle timing for Barles. If Barles is worried about pikemen, if he's worried about any type of long-term here in castle against the Persians, a castle, whether it's a forward or a defensive one, can normally solidify your position. That is such a good castle if it goes up. It'll be between two golds. One is the gold of Barles. One is the gold from Daniel. And I think Daniel will see this and feel like he has to deny it. You can't engage against this and win. If you take an engagement against this, you take an engagement against this because you think the game is over if the castle goes up. The monks can convert the pikes. There's so many camels, I think they might even be able to beat the pikes. The castle's going to go up behind this. Barles is going to take the fight. And Barles knows his castle will go up. He can soon mix in cataphracts. And I think Daniel just wanted this engagement to come a little bit earlier. He had to try. Falling back would not have been any better for him. And Barles takes the second game. And this is what we mean about Barles, right? Like, Daniel tried again to come with that aggression, but Barles just found himself in a spot where his eco looked phenomenal. He's on 4 TCs and he's dropping a castle. That was just perfect play from Barles. And that breaks the #1 civilization from Daniel. So both players had a civilization that they picked first, and both players have lost with those first pick civilizations. Also interesting with the civ data, the Persian win rate continues to drop, even though they're picked and played a lot. And we can take a lot more from that now than I think we could in the earlier rounds because the settings and the players should be closer. Here we are, guys. Game number 4. We've got Barles in the red playing as the Magyars. We've got Daniel in the blue playing as the Hindustanis. Both great civilizations for this. And I thought Daniel was going to play Hindustanis on Gold Rush, actually, because we'd seen a lot of that. I think this might be one of the first times we've seen the Hindustanis here. And we actually haven't seen Magyars that much. Like, I thought Magyars would be top tier because of their potential for scouts on this map. I think this map is really good for Cav Archers too, so I could see something like scouts into Cav Archers being very comfortable for Barles. And I have pretty vivid memories of Barles doing that in Titans League with Magyars on a map called Spiral. The real competitive age nerds will remember that. So I could see it being somewhat reasonable. As always, as you guys probably know, you've got resources on the sides. So there is always a question on if players will put a mill out there. If you don't mill it, you're leaving food out there. But if you do mill it, you're taking the risk. But other than that, you've got berries to work with at home. I think if we removed the berries, then obviously the food would probably be milled. But the berries is simply just the safe option. So, all right, I've been live for what? Almost 2 hours. Any questions about Hidden Cup, guys? I will just take a moment to overview that. Like I said, MBL Capwatch coming up in the next round is probably the main card of the day, if you could say that. So that should be a wild series. Who is hidden? The 16 players in the main event will be hidden. Are there more maps in the main event? Yes, there will be more maps in the main event. When is the next hero reveal? I'll introduce the next heroes probably in a day or two. When will the merch come out? Hopefully within 24 hours. The merch should be soon if you want to get the Hidden Cup 5 merch. But I have to test some stuff, and that actually reminds me I got to get to that tonight. So, T90, why are you so tasty? Pass. Pass. Why are you T90? Because I used to play a lot of, well, what we call in the States, and I consider this acceptable to say right now because we are casting an American. I used to play a lot of soccer, aka football, right? And the T90 lasers are the greatest cleats of all time, right? I will say that the Adidas Predators are maybe a solid number 2, or maybe have contention for number 1. But anyways, so I was trying to find a username, and I based it around a shoe, basically. So yeah, and I have them. I have them in my room here as well. There's a T90 line of Nike apparel and shoes and cleats for some time, but please do not tell Nike because I do not want to get sued. If Nike asks, I am massively. No. If Nike asks, my first name is Tristan, and I was born in 1990. There we go. The other alternative was the tank, but I really don't want to be associated with the Russian tank for reasons I think you could consider obvious. So, yeah. But the reason is the shoe. That was my thinking. And Barles, he's going up and he's going to gold here. Interesting. Not what I was expecting here. So it's going to be Barracks. And he wants to try Man-at-Arms. Very little scouting on his opponent's base, which normally you want if you're going for Man-at-Arms. I mean, both players are probably thinking this is just going to be a scout war. And maybe Barles just doesn't feel like it's going to be a comfortable game if he doesn't make it a little bit messy here. Actually, hold on. I do recall a game where we saw Drush into scouts, and it was from Ganji. And I could actually see 2 militia. I mean, maybe he's not. No, he's going for militia. Maybe it's 2 militia into scouts here, and it's the same build that Ganji did. Because I think Ganji, Valis, Barles, probably all talking strats and such. You do get the forging upgrade on the 2 militia, which makes it pretty strong. Yeah, this is going to be Drush into scouts. Really interesting strat. T90, do you like fighting games? Do you consider Age of Empires 2 a fighting game? Have you ever heard of that one? I'm a big fan of that type of fighting. Beyond that, not really. So it does come at the expense of some resources, right? You're spending food, you're spending gold. And I think he is hoping, like Barles is hoping to find some exposed areas to do some damage to Daniel here. Ooh, decisions to make now for Daniel. Does he push the deer or does he chase the scout? Okay, he's going to chase the scout. Did he see the militia? Now he sees the militia. So that's interesting, right? If Daniel continues to push the deer, he probably never gets the scouting on the militia. If Barles chooses to run a different direction with his scout loses HP, and then Daniel doesn't see the militia. And, I mean, Daniel, this was his exposed area. This was exposed for a second. But he's probably going to be fine. Don't push the deer for him, Barles. No! The deer is now safe food income for Daniel. What have you done? What's the follow-up? Stable. Okay, yeah, this is the same build Ganji did. This is definitely cooked up in a lab. Definitely a build order that the amigos worked on. I knew it felt familiar to me. I really like it. The obviously right now, having not found damage with the militia is a bit painful. But I do think the build is quite nice. And Daniel, I think, is not expecting this. Oh, fascinating. See, Daniel, every time it's militia opening, it's into art range units. So Daniel's thinking it's going to be into range units from his opponent. He's not expecting the scouts. And if he's not expecting the scouts, like 3 Magyar scouts could kill this really quickly. And Daniel was super greedy and pushing as many deer as he could. The rest of the deer have been killed by the militia now. And let's see. Daniel's looking. He doesn't see a range. This might clue him into something being suspicious here. But he would definitely be adding more spears if he expected the scouts. And Daniel's like, all right, here we go. We're playing Arabia, right? No, we're playing slopes. And the Magyar scouts go in, and the Magyar scouts kill the spear. They will kill the archer, and that is a wonderful, wonderful engagement from Barles. The preparation has clearly paid off, and Daniel loses everything there, including his starting scout. And now, Barles is on the resources here, so that's really easy, breezy food eco. He's going to be walled elsewhere. He'll still have farms. He'll still have berries. And then Daniel, he's kind of left in the dark. And he'll be reacting. Really nice build here from Barles. I love this. I love the preparation. Now, people here who are going to watch the main event, as Barles goes through! He goes through! It's not walled yet, and now there's Magyar scouts in! Daniel! No! Oh, this could be brutal. He's got to bring spears back, and he's got a quick wall, and it's messy, and it's... But listen, main event time, guys. If Barles makes it in, remember this. This is definitely something that we can look for as a build from players who could potentially qualify to possibly help us guess who is who. Now, of course, all the main event players can see it. Like, this might be more known, but still, it is something that I think is notable. I mean, beautiful play from Daniel to quick wall everything ever since. Oh, God, I jinxed him. He missed one area. And he's missed one area, and that villager's trapped. Daniel wants to quick wall it. Daniel wants to save it. Villager's going to go down. That's the first villager down here. Barles running around. Barles attacking another villager. He killed another villager. Now, all these scouts are so weak right now. There's 19 HP on these. 19 HP. Out of a potential of 180. But that's beautiful. That's clean play from Barles. He does lose some scouts now. But remember, Daniel doesn't even know if his opponent's taking this. He has no indicators. Because he just pushed the deer. Yeah, this should be a good situation for Barles now. This obviously could hurt if Daniel gets some kills. This could be nice for Daniel. Barles isn't paying attention? Yeah, Daniel will kill 2 villagers here. Guaranteed. This is Daniel we're talking about. This is Daniel who just lost 2 villagers and might be a little annoyed with himself. He might even kill 5, right? At the expense of everything else. He will not let these villagers get away. He's busy. He's bringing more army forward. And Barles, I don't think he expected Daniel to be here so quickly. Barles only lost 1, so I was wrong. And we have some skirms coming over. Barles a little late to gold, actually, which could affect the castle time. Things get very messy now. And man, I mean, wasn't this a fun game, guys, so far? I mean, this is so cool. We got to see the cool build from Barles. But then we got to see the downside of being out here. This is really interesting. The militia actually putting in some work here. Still has that extra attack. And the skirms, the scouts should be enough for Barles. Things definitely got a little bit messy here. Ultimately, though, he should be able to clean this up. This tower is actually not really necessary. But I think he can place a couple... I think he can just place a mining camp here and get that stone back. It is one of those things. I wonder if he factored in to his thinking when he made this tower that he has the stone available nearby. You would assume so, but there is also stone at home, so it might not be something players think about. So a big thing I didn't really point out is that Barles, who obviously killed that extra villager, he never had double bid axe, guys. Wow, I really thought he was going to head towards Castle Age. Now he's like making more scouts. Now he's getting wheelbarrow. Still not completely walled. Daniel's on the way to castle. Daniel has cheap villas with the Hindustanis. Daniel never had to make a tower. And things are pretty relaxed for Daniel. He does have to decide what he makes next and where he wants to do damage. But feels like just playing in towards camels would feel very natural against the amount of scouts and skirms. I think, honestly, at this point, Barles is just producing more scouts because he can't click up to Castle Age. Right? If he didn't make these scouts, he's going to have like 1,000 or 1,100 food. So he figures he might as well. And I don't mind that thinking. I also don't mind the spear over here just patrolling around to see if Daniel will expand. What should Hindustanis go into Magyars if reaching Castle Age first? Camels. Definitely camels. Especially against skirms and scouts, camels feel very natural here. And then later on, you might have some decisions to make, but I think camels are fine. Interesting that these skirms have not even able to find this. Daniel did add some scouts because he's worried about the skirms. But now that he sees this army here and he sees the skirms here, he feels like he might as well just go forward. Does need to be careful. But yeah, he does not want to use his army to deal with this. He wants to be aggressive. And he's headed right over to where that tower is. Daniel, 90 seconds faster to Castle Age after losing so much more than Barles did. Nice defense. Camels will naturally head over this way and deal with this. Here he goes to the stone. We talked about this, guys. We talked about the stone and why he needs to take it. It feels natural. But Daniel's headed over towards it. And, you know, these guys are going to think about things in similar ways. And even seeing this is a nice feeling for Daniel. Seeing that he didn't take any stone. And Daniel's going to dive right underneath the tower. Just to force those villagers to sit there. That said, now you're underneath the tower. Skirms come out. You'll start to lose your archers. And then the tower can kill archers as you run away. And I think Barles will be very happy that Daniel did that. Yeah, he will be extremely happy that Daniel did that. He should be able to get back to his stone. Maybe not that easy, actually, because there's still some camels. But a couple spears were added there from Barles. That's not bad. Nice hits. Still tracking this down. And we have Bodkin Arrow on the way for Barles. That'll help his skirms. That'll help his tower. But I also think that means cav archers here. He's not getting elite skirm. He's very low on golds here, Barles. The order of events economically behind this has been very messy. And there we will see Daniel dropping a TC on the food. I'd say Daniel has the lead right now. It's slight. But I do think his position is going to be a bit cleaner. It's easier to play, right? He's going to go Cav Archer and Camel. I really like going for the Cav Archer play with the Hindustanis. Because their vills are so cheap. It just feels so nice to be able to go immediate 3-town center with them and boom. While making Cav Archers at the same time. Whereas if you're making Camels, obviously their Camels are very strong too. And that's probably their better unit, but that is, you're still spending a lot more food. So, hey guys, reminder, because I saw it in chat. Thank you, Crackers. So, if you guys are in the U.S., want to travel to the U.S., be at the live viewing party in beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for the final day of the main event of Hidden Cup, which is basically kind of a month away now. A month-ish, anyways. March 3rd, right? Third place match, grand final, reveal. There'll be a lot of other Age fans there. We have 185 tickets sold. Your food, your drink, alcohol, everything will be included with the ticket, and then I'll be there. Just join the Discord. Check it out if you're interested. That's all I ask. Gonna have to mention that every once in a while. I know some of you guys are like, that does not sound like something I can do, T90. And I've heard this now 3 times. Will I be eaten by alligators in Florida? Well, at the meetup, no. If you wish to encounter alligators, I live nearby where the meetup is. I could tell you where to go. But they won't eat you. They're chill. That is a crazy army here from Barles. What a weird army to engage into. If you're Daniel, I don't even know what to do about that one. Spearmen, Cav Archers, Skirms. But yeah, seriously, a lot of people are buying tickets. They won't be on sale forever, so make sure to get them. Would love to meet you. So, Barles, 2 town centers. Slightly behind in vills, but he's building up those Cav Archers. And Cav Archers can be incredibly strong with the Magyars in the long run. Also, love how he TC'd this. Daniel, I think, is going to find it difficult to do some damage here. And the Cav Archers can... If you get to like 20 or so Cav Archers against Camel... You're going to start to kill them very quickly. And that's what Barles will aim to do. Daniel TCing over here. Just mining some of the stone as well. So the stone side and the gold side is always opposite. Actually, don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's true. I believe it is. That means, like, if you see your opponent has stone here, you should know that your gold should be on that same side. I think. I actually have to double check that. There is a stone and gold side for both players, though. So as a player, obviously, if you see stone, you know the gold's on the other side. +2 armor is in for Daniel's camels, and he could still find really good engagements here. But he is a little worried, apparently. He's going to go for Elite Skirm as well. Elite Skirm Camel feels really strong against Magyars. Because usually Magyars are going to be making Knights, or they're going to be making Cav Archers. It is awkward, but I like the fact... I like how many additional spears have been added here. And just the random monk there, like... It's just another element that makes it more awkward for Daniel to take engagements. Also, both players are banking up stone like they want to build a castle, and there's a lot of golden stone through the middle here. So a castle in the middle for either player could be really strong. And Barles might be a little concerned seeing the Elite Skirm upgrade come in. But right now, there's only 4 of them. And 4's not anything to be too scared of just yet. Remember, while the Magyar Cav Archers do mass a little bit faster right now, you have no bonuses to work with other than that. They don't become strong until recurve build, which requires a castle. And it requires the unique tech. And we are a long ways from that. I do really like I like what Barles has done here on the left-hand side with outposting. I like his scout on the right side. It feels like Barles has a better outlook on the map, personally. Daniel seems a little bit more restricted in his view. But I mean, it's just ever so slightly. And as I've established before, I'm not even sure the sides are necessary to win the game. I think the middle is necessary to win the game, especially in early game or like early imp. And so we've had militia, we've had scouts, we've had archers, we've had spears, we've had skirms, we've had camels. We have a big boom. And now we have the players separating themselves from each other as Barles wants a raid. And Daniel maybe thinking about a forward castle if those Cav Archers leave that position. We're going to have a castle soon, guys. Big thing is, where is it going to be? Here comes Daniel. Here comes Daniel. A castle here would be sick, man, but it is so risky. I love it, though. He knows the Cav Archers have gone for a raid, so there shouldn't be as much resistance here from Barles. Oh, God. Okay, here he goes. The light cav are looping in. The camels are there. The villagers are building the castle. Does Barles delete buildings and build his own here? What does he do? His cav archers are killing villagers. Daniel doesn't notice this because Daniel's worried his castle won't go up. Barles bringing in the siege from the other side. Daniel's taking a pretty decent fight. There's the siege. But that castle's going up, guys. Daniel will take a lot of losses here. He's Hindustanis. He can always make more vills. He gets the castle up. What a great castle from Daniel. And what an awkward position right now for Barles in terms of gold. He immediately expands here to get gold. Remember, he does not have a TC here. He did kill a whole bunch of vills. These killed 12 villagers. But Barles might need a castle on this hill to stop Daniel from progressing. This game went from 0 to 100 really, really quick. I love that, though. That's so cool, man. Like, the recognition from Daniel to go forward castle when he saw the Cav Archers were moving out was perfect. Unfortunately for him, his TC wasn't on the wood line. I see this a lot from players where they TC the food. I think the TC on the wood line is the much safer approach. But then you don't protect the stone, so it's kind of complicated. Barles actually not even that far ahead in the vill count, truthfully. And he's going to castle here, which protects more stone. It protects that gold. And I guess he's feeling like he can defend this area with his Cav Archers. I would love to see a Siege Workshop from Daniel right now. A Siege Workshop to pressure these TCs would be really nice. And more skirms, more camels, just keeping that flow of the game seems reasonable to me. Daniel's eco is pretty much untouched now. He's collected a lot more food. He's got 30 on food. Barles only has 20 because his main eco has been getting harassed. You can see a lot of areas where there were farmers where he pulled them away to do different things. But Daniel does not know about this castle. And I think when he sees it, he's going to be like, ooh. Kind of funny how he's looping this way. Look at how Barles is playing this. Barles, he loves his vision. Town Watch is in. Outposts are out. And oh, what a find! Ballistics is in, too. Really nice find. Also, Cav Archers headed over here from Barles. Will hit the woodline from Daniel. And pressuring the sides. And Barles feels like he needs to quickly lock this down. Look, like, I think this is so underrated. The amount of outposting. How many times do we talk about this, guys? I read the YouTube comments, too. People on YouTube are like, man, pros never build outposts. I love this. But Daniel, if he can just venture a little bit further, he's going to find this. And he's looking, and he's going to find it. Oh, that TC will not go up. What a game we have. What a game we have, guys. Meanwhile, Barles is going to go forward. And Barles is going to pressure Daniel, and Daniel could have some problems. This is an epic game. An epic game on an epic map, and I'm loving the strats from both of them. And it still could get crazy, right? Somehow these villagers are still alive. That's a big deal. They might complete that TC, but Daniel's on the way to the Imperial Age. What in the world? Now, wood for him is not great. He's gotten raided on this side, but there he just cleared that up. Maybe an invitation for Daniel to come out here now and lock it down with the TC. Oh, God. The wood situation here again for Daniel. A big problem. And Barles is going to find even more kills. And it's important that he does. Because with the Hindustanis already being on the way to Imp, Barles not being that close, there's definitely some worry for him, I'm sure. Because remember, forward castles always leads to a Trebor. We just got to hope that Barles doesn't go Imp in one of these forward town centers. I think that the castle will likely be the target, but I mean, there's just army everywhere right now. But it's mainly Cav Archers. So these skirms should be able to find good engagements against the Cav Archers. As long as the Light Cav and the Knights aren't a big factor. I think Barles might realize he's destined to die with this army, and so he is just going to run into the eco. Yeah, this TC, to me, this is a sign that Daniel is worried if he ever moves over here, he's going to be seen and picked apart. That is a TC of someone who's terrified. Barles needs to get as much value from this army as possible. He's killed 36 villagers from Daniel. And don't tell me, is he going to leave? No, dude. Underneath the TC is not what Barles was intending here, I'm sure. And yeah, he maybe thought there was a path out, and he's going to lose so much. And this skyrockets Daniel maybe back into the lead. I know he lost a lot of vills, but his army is so strong, and it's not easy to mass Cav Archers again like that. Also not easy to play out of Daniel's position if you are at only 96 villagers. But, I mean, at the same time, being Hindustanis, it is much easier to recover here than any other civ. So, Daniel goes forward castle. The imp TC for Barles is over here. He thought about it. He thought about it. He's actually going to castle this, which is be a really nice position, actually. Because I don't think Daniel will go here anymore. And that will surprise him. We have Corvinian army, which means the Magyar Hussar out of the castle will not cost gold, which is a tech I love. But he is also making regular Hussars. So maybe he will actually stop making regular Hussars and go for Magyar Hussar. That means he does need to rely on the castles. Res collected, Barles is ahead. Army comp, Daniel is ahead. And Daniel is ahead with the momentum too because of having these trebs. So, and someone said, why 2 castles there on the front? Because this is how you win the game. The guy's main gold is here. His castle is here. If you take out this castle and these TCs, Barles is wide open. So Daniel, it's going to lead to some problems for him at home. But it is a conscious effort because he knows he's behind economically. And he knows that if he tries to stabilize at all with anything defensive, maybe even the late game for the Magyars is too tough for him with recurve bow or something. Magyar Hussar have a bonus against siege. If Daniel ever leaves these trebuchets, I would not be surprised to see the Magyar Hussar go in for those trebs. But Daniel will not leave. And Barles is now in the Imperial Age, getting Bracer. And here he's going to make trebs. Look at Barles. He's actually TCing the gold that it should be Daniel's. And the Magyar Hussar dive in. The Magyar Hussar dies so quickly to the castle fire, though. And the camels. That was not good. That was not good for Barles. You understand the thinking. But, I mean, he's getting techs. But does he have the army? Like, he's getting heavy Cav Archer. He has 152 villagers. Only enough pop space for 50 army. Daniel still trebbing away, but Daniel might need to soon go for this hill. So this is where I would feel very split if I'm Daniel. You still push this castle, right? But this would make me feel very uncomfortable. I'm not sure how I would handle that. As well as the random raids. But Daniel is clearing up the random raids. And he's also going to try and raid himself. Castle's being repaired. Barles also has the majority of the stone he's been taking right here. Stone and gold is through the middle on this map. This is not always about the sides. And this castle for Barles will likely fall. I think he is only just buying himself some time right now. Did he get recurve bow yet? No recurve bow. He needs recurve bow. It's like... I don't remember the exact cost. I think it's like 500 wood and 600 gold. Or maybe it's 600 wood and 400 gold. It's wood gold. I know that much. And obviously you need a castle for that. And if you get recurve bow cav archers are the strongest cav archers... Or one of the strongest cav archers in the game. Oh, man. Daniel really wants some control of the side. He can tell now there must be buildings here because of the light cav streaming through. Daniel will take out a castle. Daniel also loses a castle. Daniel could lose his next castle. He goes in for an engagement. Barles trying to protect his only Treb there. And he's going to build some houses. The cav archers still should be enough. Magyar Hussar swooping in on the other side from Barles. The population is so high. There's also raids happening from Barles at the same time. And Daniel house walls. Some beautiful plays. And he snipes a Treb. But there's more Magyar Hussars. And these Magyar Hussars, while their upgrades are just so bad, they are still something that could maybe kill this siege. And if the siege isn't here anymore, Daniel might be left alone with no castles in the middle. Okay, not a good day to be a Magyar Hussar. But Daniel's castle's gone down, and this is what I noticed on the minimap, guys. Barles was raiding here and raiding here at the same time. Barles will react to Daniel's raids here. But the cav archer mass, up to 20 now. Get a little bit... If you could get a few more cav archers, maybe get recurve bow. I think Barles is in a position to take this game. Crazy to me how we just saw 3 castles go down in the middle. And now we got another castle from Daniel. Daniel's far from finished. And now we got more light cav from Barles trying to find different areas. And the camels over here have still found kills, and Barles is having problems. This is a ridiculous game. One thing to remind you of, though. The upgrades are not really in for the skirms for Daniel. And his resources are dwindling right now. He's really struggling. The camels are dying to these cav archers that are still not yet fully upgraded. These trebs, these villagers all exposed. Daniel is behind in a lot of areas. And Barles has done such a good job raiding. He's killed 85 villagers. And he's always coming in from a different angle. And how could he not when he is played with such amazing vision? He has so much vision on this map. So much understanding. And it was just beautiful defense to be able to survive from that Trebor. I don't know how he survived for so long. The coolness and the calmness from Barles has kept him in this. And Barles, who lost the first game, looks like he might win his 3rd straight and then move on into the decider to qualify for Hidden Cup. Would love to make it back. He was in Hidden Cup 4. So he's been there before. Daniel's never been in one. Daniel needs to find a big turnaround, but I'm not seeing it. Daniel's population is so low right now, guys. And listen, at the end of the day, I think if Daniel loses this, he played in the mid castle age. He did everything right with the forward castles. I will stand by that. Even if he loses the game, I think if he went defensive castles here, I think it would have put so little pressure on Barles. But you just got to have a better approach of the map, right? And I think I've seen through these games that Barles just had a better understanding of the map. Daniel had no clue Barles was here until now, right? That's a pretty crazy thought. And then cav archers and trebs now pushing forward through the middle. And Daniel, he has to stay here to kill this TC. And then he can go to the middle. And by the time he gets there, Barles will have more and more upgrades. What a crazy game. Barles had TCs everywhere this game. Barles right now has 6 town centers. Crazy. And did he get recurve bow now? Still no recurve bow, but I think that's the next thing he gets, actually. There it is. Recurve bow. Yep, you're not engaging against that with only camels. It's not happening. Daniel does not want to call... Okay, you guys said 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then he had 8. Yeah. Like I said, he had 8. Treadmill crane on the way, just so he can build a little bit faster. I mean, this now you're just getting techs that you don't necessarily need, but will help, right? And what does he do? Well, he knows the camels are probably going to be coming here. Sends a light. Look at this. Oh, God. Even Walden the Bills here making a stable. Daniel's like, come on, dude. This is supposed to be my gold. This isn't fair. And it's not fair because Barles is just on another level, man. The skill is there from both, but the ability from Barles to settle the game down in Castle Age and play economically is just insane. The previous game we saw it. This game we kind of saw it. It was dicey for him, actually, for a period there. But Daniel will be without a castle in the middle, and the light cav are just going to go there. I mean, the camels have to go here. And Barles could see this. So the second the camels go over here, the light cav just go in here, and it's just a never-ending cycle. I think we've all been on the other end of raids like this. It is such a pain, and it is so difficult to manage and deal with. And then this is Magyars we're talking about, who have the 7+5 attack cav archers with 8 range. We've got one more big fight from Daniel coming. He's trying to get his mass up here, guys. He figures still, camels do bonus damage against all the units Barles is making. He's hoping this would be it. But it is extremely unlikely he kills much because of how many recurve bow cav archers are here. He knows he would also be out. He wanted to be back in Hidden Cup, so he knew he wasn't necessarily the favorite, but he felt like, again, what he told me was Barles was the favorite, but if it just comes down to who shows up on the day. And at game 1, starting to think, the way Daniel played that on a relatively closed map, too, maybe it's Daniel's day, but Barles has definitely upped it since game 1. And, yeah, he's just not letting this one go. There's no way. Now, Danny Boy, and everybody, I just got to point out, we do have MBL Cap Watch, which is supposed to be starting, like, right now. Now, Daniel, I don't want to be disrespectful. I love you, buddy. But can you take this fight soon, please, for the sake of our schedule? I love you to death. You're getting raided. Do it for your own health, man. Your mental health. This is rough, right? Like, I know it's painful. I shouldn't be saying it. But, like, you're losing your base. We got MBL Cap Watch coming. Come on, dude. Take this fight. You have no TC. Come on. You have no... This is horrible. Take this fight. 14. 14. Here we go. Big fight. Of course, Barles is just going to back up to his castle, and now Daniel's like, fine. That's not a good fight for me. But the problem is, there's never going to be a good fight for Daniel. And Daniel wishes him good luck next, and they both deserve our salutes. It was a really high level, a really fun series. The theme here, the last, well, not the whole series, actually, but I think what was impressive was how Barles was able to both swat away that early pressure that Daniel has in him, which we saw in Game 2 and Game 3, but then also how he is able to also be that early pressure type player. A lot of players don't have it all. And I think Barles has the ability to be aggressive when needed, be defensive when needed, and play to the late game when he needs to. Daniel, I think, has always struggled with taking it late game, and because he always feels like he needs to do damage. Look at the resources collected there from Barles. A clean 20,000 resources more than Daniel. But again, I will maintain, I really think the forward castle from Daniel was a really good attempt. I actually think, maybe instead of Imp, I wonder how it plays out if he goes full camel in Castle Age. It feels unnatural to run underneath TCs with camels, but the Trebs did do a lot. I don't know. I think what Barles just did a good job of was picking apart Daniel when Daniel was here. So he's like, oh, you're going to be here? Fine, I'll raid you on the sides. And he just did that so consistently. And anyways, we are going to have to move on. There's another series, but GG's. Barles moves on. Daniel is out and will not be back. Will not be in Hidden Cup.